The Midwest by way of Atlanta, we realize our underdog complex, and David Lynch Jr. That's all today on OPE or NOPE. Hello and welcome to OPE or NOPE. Because you tolerated it, we are back with our show within a show, ready to pass judgment on the few and far between touchstones of Midwest pop culture. More on that in a sec, but first I want to welcome back my special guests to my, and let's face it, their surprise. They have decided to rejoin me in the studio. From WFHB and Cicada Cinema, we have Essex, and from IU Cinema, we have Michaela Owens. Thanks so much for coming back.
Thank you. Yeah. No, seriously, thank you for having us.
I mean, I'm shocked one of us came back.
I no longer have an affiliation with Indiana University, so the guards, it was really hard trying to get in here. The guards were like shoving me away.
I tried.
Much to their delight, we are not here to talk more about the James Corden oeuvre.
Zazz.
But I will say, last time you were both here, we could not get enough of Breaking Away's authenticity and commitment and reverence for the place that we call home. But that is done, that is tired, that is played out. We don't want it. We want the fake and fabricated. We want the towns that pop culture creators said, hey, we could go anywhere in the world. And you know what? They chose Indiana. So we are here, we've got a few different fake pop culture cities that we're going to dive into. We've watched a few episodes of each, and we are going to pass judgment on how well they do representing the Midwest. I have some official criteria. These are tried and true scientific criteria and not at all things I wrote down last night at 10 p.m. 1, sense of place. What details are reminiscent of the places we know and begrudgingly love? Could we place it on a map? 2, sense of people. The main cast is one thing, but how about the neighbors? Are these the kind of people who unironically use the phrase Midwest nice? And 3, scooch factor. How likely are its residents to utter the phrase, oh, just gonna scooch past ya? Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah.
So our first episode of the day is from Stranger Things, and we are going on a trip to Hawkins, Indiana. Specifically, the episode we watched was episode 2 of season 2, Trick or Treat Freak. I thought it would be great to kind of get into the Halloween spirit and maybe get a sense for where are we in Hawkins, Indiana. Real quick, what's your past experience with Stranger Things? Are you on the train? Are you writing, what is it, Billy Teddy fan fiction, who's the kid with the Slayer vest, whatever, the really obnoxious one that people on TikTok make songs about?
This is my first time watching it, actually.
Ever?
So you have like zero context.
I'm not a big horror person, and so that's always kind of kept me away from it. And also, there's just too much stuff out there for me to
Well, not on Netflix. On Netflix, it's all curated, and they've just decided what's absolutely the best.
Well, and then I heard that the quality kind of like went downhill, so I was like, is it even worth my time? If I'm being honest.
My history of Stranger Things parallels most people's history of Stranger Things, which is like, it was like this cute, fun show that popped up on Netflix in like 2015, and everyone was like, oh, cool, 80s stuff, like, let's watch it. And then like most people, like, I got to the finale and said, well, cool, I guess if there's a second season, I'll watch it. And then they took 2 years, and I had completely lost interest and have not watched anything since. I've seen memes.
And now all the children are paying taxes.
Now all the children are paying taxes. Millie Bobby Brown's is friends with Drake. A lot's changed since 2017.
You can hear the sirens in the distance. For people who aren't aware, which I didn't think was many people, but apparently they are among us right now, Stranger Things debuted in 2016 on Netflix. This is the creation of Matt and Ross Duffer. And I guess the elevator pitch of the show is, hey, remember Steven Spielberg? He was pretty cool, right? And now we have a budget to do something big on Netflix with a bit more of a horror vibe. Before we got into it, I did want to sort of pinpoint, where do they want us to think Hawkins is? Would you believe me if I told you this was not shot in Indiana?
I mean, I do appreciate that it's not just like all cornfields. Like there is like texture to it. There's a lot more than just what we usually get, I think, with Indiana.
Well, there's texture because it's shot in Atlanta.
Correct.
Yeah, great. Love
Much like just about everything that you see now, it's shot in a suburb of Atlanta, sort of made up to look like it could be anywhere. When I was doing some background research on, why Indiana, why Hawkins, There wasn't really a rhyme or reason. It was originally supposed to take place in Long Island, and because of production costs, they decided to scrap that. They shot it in Atlanta, and rather than, I guess, naming it a place in Atlanta, they decided that, hey, Indiana is the kind of place that could look like anywhere. In an interview with IndyStar, why they decided to set it in a fictional city, it's because Stephen King did it, and they thought that would be cool.
Oh my God! Of course they thought it'd be cool.
Love that it's really rooted in something.
Yeah, really, just you can feel the authenticity. You can feel the lived-in spaces. Yeah. I did take some notes on the kinds of landmarks that we have in Hawkins, Indiana. We have a laboratory where apparently they make X-Men.
Yes.
We have a quarry that we see toward the end of season 1.
Okay.
We have not one but 2 hospitals, an arcade, a pumpkin patch, which we do see this episode, a massive mall, which comes to play in season 3, a steel mill, a lumber yard, and 3 separate lakes. And one thing I absolutely love, the devil works hard, but fan wiki editors work harder. On every single shot of a map that we get on the Stranger Things wiki, there is a section entitled Issues with this map. Where they tell you all the inconsistencies and reasons why this map could not work.
Oh, I always love when a show is like, or a movie is set in like a small town, but they've managed to cram all of these, like I come from a literal small town. We do not have hospitals. We kind of have a movie theater, kind of not. Like, we don't have these things.
Yeah, the cobbled together city is my favorite phenomenon in movies. Like, I love going from like one climate section to like a separate climate section. And it's so much fun.
Yeah.
I will say too, they pitch Hawkins as this small middle America town. It's not small.
No,
nothing is walkable.
No.
Those kids are working their legs on those bikes, Payton.
Well, they are apparently almost getting killed, as we saw on this episode. We get probably the most of the town, I would say, at least the residential bits. There are some other bits in the series where we see the downtown. There are some other bits
There's a downtown.
There's a downtown.
That's how this cannot be a small town in Indiana. There cannot be a downtown.
There's just a town.
Yes.
But only in this episode we see the residential part. And as far as, the residential section, did this feel like a place that you've been to or a place that you've lived?
Not really.
Not really. Once again, it's too cobbled together. Like, I've been to Indiana cities with like boonies, which there are boonies in this. I've been to Indiana cities with large high schools.
Yeah.
I've been to all these different things, but no, there's no city like this.
There's no like rich part of town like where I'm from.
Yes.
It's all just like the kind of the same.
Yeah, like rich people in small towns tend to just live in houses in different places in town.
Up in hills.
Yeah, looking down.
Yeah.
The thesis I came to when watching this episode was what really bothered me. There are no suburbs in Hawkins.
No.
Everything is a major thoroughfare. Every house has a huge plot of land and massive forest behind it. There's because when I think the Midwest, I think of like where I grew up, where it was entire sections that were carved out to make cookie cutter houses and smash as many together as we can. And there's none of that in Hawkins.
No.
And again, I wasn't alive in, presumably 1983 when this is going on. I think that was what was weird to me, especially on a Halloween episode where they are like, we know what neighborhoods to go to. What neighborhoods?
No.
These are where you are letting your children walk.
I know one house to go to. That's 2 miles away, guys.
One house.
Let's go.
You can go to the church and maybe they won't give you candy, but you might be able to hang out there on Halloween. But no,
They might have trunk or treat.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe.
Well, can I say something?
I wish you would.
This is a typical Hollywood thing I have found, where if you've never actually, it's either if you grew up in the Midwest and you left right after high school, or you've just never been to the Midwest, or you went once for some reason. You just kind of treat it like an amalgam place where it's just like, there's just like a lot of space and there's like cornfields and farmers work there, but then there's also like malls and it's quiet and sleepy. It's like, that's what Stranger Things is. Like they didn't set it in Long Island, one, as you said, because it's expensive, but then two, there's too much character to that. Like you can place like landmarks and stuff. It becomes like this like amalgam place where it becomes what you think the Midwest is because you don't know anything about the Midwest. And so like, honestly, Hawkins just kind of reminds me, it's like, it could be Iowa, it could be certain parts of Illinois, the state, not Chicago. It could be some parts of Indiana because it's just the Midwest, and they just chose Indiana because no one was going to get upset about it.
Until today.
Really
they
taking them to
knew
task.
we would all be quietly tolerant and just with the seething rage underneath the surface.
We're very Midwest that way. Just,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Love that you could just set your show anywhere.
I will say there is one really random thing. I remember, I think it was when the first season came out, that one of the characters, maybe it was Will, had like a poster in his room of a place called Ski World, which I grew up knowing about because it's in between Nashville, where I'm from, and Bloomington.
No way.
It used to be a place where you could literally go skiing because it had like slopes and everything. And so that impressed me. I was like, oh, they know Ski
Point
World?
Stranger Things.
All right,
Okay.
1 point.
I think my sort of takeaway is that any sort of attention to detail they have works against it because they choose details that don't go together. Yeah, they reference Tippecanoe, which apparently is a part of northern Indiana. And then in the first season, there's a big scene in a quarry, which is right near here in south central Indiana. So it's like, oh, we've got these two possible locations, but they're on completely opposite sides of the map. I do believe there's some mention that it's about 80 miles from Indianapolis, which doesn't really help at all with Indianapolis being the dead center of the state.
Yeah, that's how they can get away with this. These Duffer brothers, they're very smart.
But they seem to have fixed it because in season 4 they just decided we're going to Russia anyway, so don't worry about it too much.
Go to Russia in the show.
So I think we have given Hawkins about as much thought that was put into it, if not more. How are we feeling? Ope or nope on does Hawkins feel like an actual Midwest town?
I'm going to say nope.
Very nope.
It's an absolute nope from me.
Try harder, Duffers.
Halloween.
Sure is.
Our second episode that we are covering today is a beloved favorite of mine. I hope a beloved favorite of yours as well, but that is Parks and Recreation. This show is the creation of Greg Daniels and Mike Schur, who previously worked together on the American version of The Office. And this follows Leslie Knope and her ragtag group of city government employees. And it's a workplace sitcom. But as far as those go, it's a fantastic workplace sitcom.
Yes.
I love this show. So we watched 2 episodes of this, season 3, episode 7, which is the Harvest Festival, and season 6, episode 3, the Pawnee Eagleton Tip-Off Classic. The reason I chose these is because in the former we get a lot of the town, we get sort of, a lot of the major players, the Perd Hapleys, the Joan Calamezzos, and then in the second one we get sort of that Eagleton-Pawnee rivalry. Eagleton in the show is the neighboring town to Pawnee. They are the rich, stuck-up older sibling.
Carmel,
yeah, it's Carmel, Indiana.
It's Carmel.
Do we want to get into it?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Carmel.
This is like, look, I watched this show every week when it came on. It was the NBC Classic, Community, this, and 30 Rock, all in a row. Loved it. And as soon as they talk about Eagleton, I'm like, oh, it's clearly supposed to be Carmel. It's Carmel. It's northern Indiana. Like the least realistic thing about Eagleton is you don't see a billion roundabouts as you drive through it.
I will say, because the city of Pawnee is unabashedly set in South Central Indiana. They make no bones about this is where it is. They take great pains to say like, hey, there's neighboring lakes. Bloomington is this far away. Indianapolis is this far away. And by direct mention of Bloomington, we can assume it is not here. I will say, however, when I first moved to Bloomington, they got a lot of people telling me, oh, have you seen Parks and Rec? We're just like Pawnee. And what I have to say to that is, we are Eagleton at best. We are not the underdog.
No.
We are
Absolutely not.
we are the stuffy, privileged neighbor. So there is some discussion online of where it is positioned, that it might be the sister cities of New Albany and Clarksville. But yeah, it is without a doubt in this area. And they do a lot to make sure that you know it. If you know Upland Brewing Company, there's a section on their website to talk about how many times they've been mentioned in Parks and Recreation.
Absolutely, yeah. Much like Springfield in The Simpsons, I have a lot of affection for Pawnee. I like the fact that it does feel like a real small town. It does feel like the geography in that show makes like a lot of sense, like where things are and how things operate, things like that. And the jokes are pretty accurate. Like, that's definitely a show that feels like a writer's room of people who grew up either in Indiana or know things about Indiana, or at least did their research in some way. Especially given like the more unsavory way that residents act sometimes, but also like the like warmth, like the like backhanded warmth is what I call it.
What a good term.
Yeah, backhanded warmth. Like, as in everyone is pretty nice, but there is like a little bit of that, you know, a little edge to it. And that's not just TV. That does kind of feel like Indiana a little bit. Yeah.
I will say it does take me a little bit out of it at the very end when it does that huge like pullback and you see like the entire festival.
The Harvest Festival. And they have a roller coaster with a loop.
They have so much, and it's like, where did they get
there was
this space?
Look, I get the idea that's like Leslie is trying to go all out for this because she wants it to be a success, but like this Parks and Rec department does not have the budget for this. They cannot afford this.
They lost me at the end there. I was just like, wait, what?
What I also appreciate, and maybe this is getting into the how does it feel like Indiana in this of it all, is that I appreciate that Harvest Festival episode for a couple of reasons. One, Lil Sebastian is clearly the like Lil Bub and like analog in the show, all the way down to a person that was me in college being like, I just really don't get it. It's just an adorable cat. I don't understand why we have a whole restaurant here for this cat. And then like kind of coming around on it before, you know, they passed away. But
wow, spoiler.
Oh. For Lil Bub, who's no longer with us. I'm so sorry. Look, if you didn't know Lil Bub was not still alive,
this was not the place to find out.
This was not the place to find out.
I'm going to need a minute, guys.
I do want to note, shot number 1 of this episode, I was just blown away with how much detail is in the background of all the different posters and flyers and banners. All had Pawnee stuff on it, had unique, you know, little inscriptions that I was just kind of pausing and taking a look at. You can tell immediately it's like, oh, they had the time, they had the interest in putting in, like, making this place feel real. Granted, a network sitcom, but compared to a show that we just discussed that has 3-hour-long episodes and a massive special effects budget, it was nice to see that they kind of put their attention where they knew that it would be most valued.
Well, there's also the attention to like its history and that it's not like a good history.
No, those are some of my favorite jokes on the show whenever they make a joke about how they treat like the Native Americans or like poor people in the past.
And there's murals to go with it.
There are murals to go with it. Like, it's all commemorated. Like, I love it. I will say that is the only part of the show that both rings true and is like a little nasty, is like the Native American representation in the show, which walks the line. Like, it is like they're making fun of like how dumb everyone in the town is, but then also it's a little icky how flippant they are occasionally about it. No, he's always high status, which is why they get away with it. Like, everyone else is they have to come to him at the end to like clear everything up, which is like why the episode gets away with it, which I enjoy.
This is an episode where we see a map of Pawnee. Which some eagle-eyed spotter has pointed out online that it is a map of the city of Muncie, flipped on its head.
Wow.
But it also gives us my favorite joke from the episode, which is...
This is a map of all the atrocities the Pawnee settlers inflicted upon the Wamapoke Indians. The atrocities are in blue.
The thing I appreciated about the Eagleton episode is like you do get the call outs to Bloomington. Like they talk about the beeline at one point, like they mention it and stuff like that. And to get back on our Carmel tangent, like the just like laissez-faire like treatment with money, like, and that's it like that they like display with that, and like how everything's just kind of like a little too perfect because they have all the money in the world. Like, it's like spot on. It's not as ridiculous as you think it is.
I'm so sorry we're late. We came from our bankruptcy brunch and Michael Bublé played, but he ran a little long.
And it is also worth noting that the city hall that we see so often in Parks and Recreation is the Pasadena, California City Hall. Most of this is shot in California.
What?
But oh my God.
That's crazy. That's good set dressing, whatever.
Apart from, you know, like we said, the few episodes where they go to Indianapolis, there are a few episodes throughout the series where they do go to some lakes. And it does feel reminiscent of, you know, Lake Lemon or Lake Monroe, to the point where it's like they decided it was going to be set in South Central Indiana. and then decided to Google South Central
Indiana, yes.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question, Payton?
I would love that.
How do you, as someone who, it seems like we've all watched Parks and Rec in some
Multiple
capacity.
times,
Yes, okay.
Yep.
How do the characters in Parks and Rec feel as Indiana native? Well, I guess not technically all of them are natives, but people who would live in Indiana.
Yeah, I think there's, like any show, the characters themselves are turned up to 11, but there is the sort of thing of like, you've got the local news person who has made it, in the grand scheme of things, should not be that competitive about the market they are in.
Yeah.
But puts everything they have into it. And like, I've known people like that.
Are you Joan Calamezza?
Yeah.
I could be.
Are you trying to get us right now? Do you wish they had gone somewhere else in Bloomington?
Ooh.
Do you wish they had actually name checked like a real place to go? Like, do you want to see them at Nick's?
Not really, because I feel like then at that point it starts to get kind of sweaty.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
Beeline is a nice name drop because it's not a business. It's not something that like, oh, they, are making money off of it. The Upland thing I find a little bit different, which we don't see in these episodes, but we see it a lot in the rest of the series. I don't mind that as much either because they are more just Easter eggs. It's not, well, I'm relaxing with this nice, cold champagne velvet beer from Upland Brewing Company.
Which I'm sure Upland would have loved.
They would have loved it. Are you giving it an OPE or are you giving it a NOPE?
Nope with a K.
Okay.
Wow.
That's
think
what I give it.
We've had a lot of fun here today, and I think it's time to shut this down.
Ope.
Ope, yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
of course, yeah.
Yes.
It feels real. It's also just helps that it's like a good show with
Yes.
good jokes constantly.
Yes.
It's an absolute OPE for me. I love the show. It just kind of reminded me of, I should go back and watch some more of this, of like, this is a good comfort show.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Parks and Rec, good show.
Good show. First person to ever say it.
We're gonna be really brave tonight.
You really are like Joan Calamezza. You're really breaking.
Breaking barriers. Never been done before. Not afraid to reference or not reference.
You blew it. Super hard. Complete buffoonery.
So the last show that we were talking about today was new to me. I don't know if it was new to you as well, but it is Eerie, Indiana. This was a show that originally debuted in 1991 on NBC, but then got syndicated later to the Disney Channel, and then finally found a home on Fox Kids on that Saturday morning block where, normally they've got cartoons, but this was a huge hit for them. But this show was entirely new to me. Had either of you heard of Eerie, Indiana? Had you experienced it before?
No, and it was kind of wild.
Yeah, absolutely. It was wild. If I had heard about it, it was one of those things of like, I was doing a Wikipedia deep dive 10 years ago and it probably came up. To quote fellow Cicada Cinema volunteer Josh Brewer, when I had told him I was going to be on this episode and was like, oh yeah, we're watching the show Eerie, Indiana. And he's like, your favorite show, right? And I was like, no. He's like, you've never seen Eerie, Indiana? That would have been Little Asia's favorite show of all time. And I got to say, Josh, you were right.
Did you nail it? Yeah.
He nailed it.
And to quote IU cinema director, Dr. Alicia Cosma, this is X-Files for kids.
If you're like us and had not heard of Eerie, Indiana before, it is essentially, X-Files meets Twin Peaks meets
Film
Saturday.
noir?
Yeah, there's
Film
like
noir and then meets Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Like it is by, no stretch of the imagination, a show for kids and families. And to the point where some of it was like a little goosebumpy where it's like, ooh, like if I were, 8 years old watching this, I'd be like, I'm getting away with something.
Yeah.
But it's, what did you think about the show? I thought I had so much fun watching this.
It was kind of like a time capsule because it looked like so many of the shows I grew up watching, but I had never seen this before. I'd never heard of it, so it was kind of bizarre looking at it that way. And then just to know that it stars like Omri Katz from Hocus Pocus, which I literally don't know him from anything else. I'm sorry to say.
He didn't have a huge career
Okay.
afterwards. I'm sorry.
Makes me feel
Sorry,
better,
Omri.
but yeah, it was kind of wild.
First reaction upon watching the show, I see the big D, Joe Dante as director, come up. I know I'm going to be in good hands. You should insert a Joe Dante fan cam here. But then like watching it is like, oh, that's like it's so much him where it is that zany madcap Saturday morning cartoon thing, like super exaggerated, like very moody, all that stuff. And just like, I love how millennial creepypasta is, where it's like, what if like a lady came to your town that was like a Tupperware lady, but then she was like secretly immortal because she's sleeping in giant Tupperware with all her friends from different parts of the late 20th century and her 2 creepy twin boys.
Oh my, I had so many questions about those boys. I was like, what?
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you had us watch the first episode in the last episode of the first season because they're connected because they give the call back. They're like, oh, these twins like went on to become
movie critics.
Yes, become movie critics. So like my first reaction to watching it, I was like, this is a perfect show for kids in the 90s. Like, because as you said, it's kind of like a Twin Peaks pastiche about like this small town, weird things go on here. So it's probably like, you know, a kid being like, my parents won't let me watch Twin Peaks, but I can watch this.
I'm planning on watching more of this.
Oh, I'm gonna watch the whole thing. Yeah. Like, I'm so excited.
It ran for 1 season. There are, I believe, 19 episodes of it. You mentioned Joe Dante, who was creative consultant and directed the pilot. It was created by Jose Rivera and Carl Schaefer, both of whom make an appearance in the second episode we watched.
Yep.
The 2 episodes we chose, I chose the pilot and I chose Reality Takes a Holiday, which I don't believe aired last, but it is listed last where we streamed it. The first episode is the pilot, in which Marshall and his family move to Eerie, Indiana, where they start to realize some strange things are happening. And at that point, he has already essentially set up like a little detective agency with his friend Simon.
Who's just a kid.
Yeah, who's just a kid.
Just a kid.
Not like that 12-year-old. But apparently either out of their attic or a steel mill. Marshall follows this woman who is going door to door, essentially selling Tupperware, but it's not Tupperware, it's Foreverware. And the Foreverware is not only used to seal food, it's used to seal people.
I know. Oh, I like put it together moments before she tucks her twins into bed. I was like, are they literally sealing? They're gonna stay alive forever because it's giant Tupperware, and it just delighted me to know. That's how I knew the show was good.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we're working with something.
Yeah.
The second episode we watched, Reality Takes a Holiday. Marshall is sitting with his family and Simon at lunch, and they're about to go see a movie, and Marshall declines. But when he walks outside, in his mailbox, he finds a script for a show called Eerie, Indiana. And it's sort of at that point that reality starts falling apart. He realizes he's on a TV set.
Cut. Don't print that one. Everybody back to the top for take 13.
And it's wild. It is a wild turn.
Joe Dante's there.
Joe Dante's there. You get a double dose of the Dante.
For a show that like is already pretty strange and leans into that, it was really nice. Granted, this was the second episode we all watched, but it was really nice to see it like, oh, we're going for it. We're like, we've got 1 season of the show. We are not going to leave anything on the table.
No.
Lovely to see.
Yeah, and it was also kind of wild because, again, if you only know Omri Katz from Hocus Pocus, in that second episode, the person who plays Dash X, Jason Marsden,
also in Hocus Pocus.
Doesn't he do the voice of Binks the cat?
He's Binks the cat in Hocus Pocus?
We don't really ever find out who Dash X is.
Well, so is he in more did anyone
That's
do any
the
research?
question
Is he in
for
more
us,
episodes of the show and we just watched it too? Because he just shows up.
You're going to start a Kickstarter for more seasons.
Oh my God, I would love it so much. Look, I am so anti-nostalgia reboot or whatever, but this got 1 season. I would kill for a, like let's just do Eerie, Indiana again. You know, I think every kid, when you watch television growing up, because it's just unfiltered, it's like unfiltered coming into your brain and you like have no context for things. That's probably one of those episodes kids who are now in like their 30s talk about, like the strangest episode of television they've ever seen, because anytime you go meta for anything, it's going to like leave an impression on you. But I did enjoy the like monster of the weakiness of the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Like it got me really excited to see like are we gonna meet that Elvis person, like Elvis there, as the Bigfoot actually gonna show up, which it seems like Bigfoot does show up in an episode at some point. I don't know.
I will confess, as far as trying to nail down where Eerie, Indiana is, the second episode, terrible choice.
Yeah, awful choice for that. Great
because
episode.
they completely do away with any of the town. But the first does give us some, especially in what I assume was shot for the pilot, but that kind of cold open.
Eerie, Indiana. My home, sweet home.
The marching basketball players, that was a nice little touch. That intro really does nail the sort of Midwest feeling. The rest of it does kind of also feel like the set they use for WandaVision.
It is just the it's just the suburbs.
It is kind of Stranger Things doesn't have.
Yeah. As far as, people in place, did you really get a sense for Eerie, or do you think, flip that on its head, does that help the show by not really feeling like a real place?
As I said earlier, though, I was like, this just kind of feels like it could be any suburb in any Midwest city, and not even technically any Midwest city. It could just be a suburb almost anywhere.
That's kind of my thing is, I'm not even sure this reads Midwest to me. This just feels like a Connecticut suburb or something. It doesn't really read Midwest. In the episodes we watched, at least.
Yeah.
It does have that thing, though, where it is like Indiana being the butt of the joke, which is just like, well, after you moved from the East Coast, where'd you end up? Ended up in Indiana. Yeah.
That's true.
And that's like, it
that
kind of feels, true. That feels like that's the whole,
it's the less glamorous option. That
yeah,
you can
and
go
like
with.
Indiana is always a good punchline of like, oh, where did they go?
Yeah.
Indiana.
What's a relocation destination that will disappoint your children?
It's like, it does feel like a coin flip between like Indiana or Iowa. Like those are your two, like you're kind of disappointed about where you're about to end up.
Was you almost saying corn flip? Was that a Freudian slip? Final thoughts on Eerie, Indiana. I will give the town of Eerie a nope, but the show a big ol' ope.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm going to watch
the
more of
same
this.
page.
This was so much fun.
And perfect for Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of these three cities, I mean, it sounds like Pawnee is definitely the one that did the most research. But as far as the other two go, I would still put Eerie over Hawkins just because Eerie, Indiana has not stuck around long enough to disappoint me in the way that Stranger Things has.
You haven't been stabbed.
Yeah, you haven't been stabbed.
I haven't had to sit through a 3+ hour episode of Eerie, Indiana, which they all just kind of yell at each other in separate rooms.
Also, if we're talking about the meta of living in these places, I prefer to live in like the city where it's like a strange thing happens every week, but I'm not gonna die.
No.
Where it's like in Stranger Things, it's like I may actually be murdered by a monster.
That seems to be the prevailing thing on the Stranger Things fan wiki is, why do people still live here? It's the Gotham problem of, you can move, right?
Nobody believes me, but this is the center of weirdness for the entire planet.
Thank you, little paper boy.
So there you have it, the not so definitive ranking to fake Indiana cities. Which ones did we miss, or how wrong did we get these? Please let us know. Asia and Michaela, thank you so much for coming on. Tell us what you got going on.
Yes, Cicada Cinema has just announced its fall programming. We're doing all spooky movies, even up and through November, and then we're going to show some noir movies. So please come on out to the Orbit Room and Upland and Hopscotch and watch some like really, truly underseen horror movies, and support WFHB if you're a community member.
So IU Cinema has so much going on. So we also have our Friday Night Fright series happening right now and a bunch of others. So yeah, you can just check us out at cinema.indiana.edu.
And as always, make sure you're subscribed to the Flyover Culture channel so you don't miss new videos. And tell us in the comments if you want to see more OPE or NOPE and what we should cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.